Yeah, we see it used in slow motion. It's lovely. We see it in sort of all of these movies and television shows and plays. But it's used as essentially a glorified baseball bat. But this is the sort of thing you see. That there's an orc coming at you, and you have your sword, and you sort of just go gunk, and their head flies off and goes gunk. Except in the TV version, where they sort of get here and then it magically cuts away. Because we don't want to see that head being chopped off. But this gets used in more interesting ways. First of all, it's not used as a baseball bat, right? You know, people swing at your head, you put sword up, it goes clang, and we go, whoo. Right? And it's not like that. We're all here today because we're good at the liberal arts, not because we're good at physics, but think through the thought experiment for just a second. If it was a baseball bat, big baseball bat, right? And someone else has a great big baseball bat. An 8-foot orc has a baseball bat. And they're coming at you and they swing this at your head. And you take your baseball bat. And their baseball bat hits that big baseball bat and somehow it stops it. Right? In every movie it's sort of like clang and we go, oh. They were nearly killed that moment there. But really, if they had a baseball bat and swung it and you just had a baseball bat held in front of your face, the first thing that would hit you would be your baseball bat. Because nothing has stopped it. The second thing that would hit you was their baseball bat, which is still moving. It's not like the bat bounces off the ball, right? We're not amazed by the physics of baseball. So it's used in some more sophisticated ways. The first thing it would have been used in Shakespeare's lifetime is that they would have grabbed it. Audiences hate this. Actors really dislike this too. They sit there in rehearsal and you'll be like, okay, so you're going to go parry, parry, and there's something coming at your head, and you grab the blade and go here, and you see the actor in the corner sort of going, I mean, go fight director, but I don't think that would work. It is my hand. It is a sword. I don't think so. And we have this sort of memory of lightsabers, right? We sort of have this idea that all swords function like lightsabers. And that if you grab them, your fingers will explode. And immediately be cauterized magically. But you can grab the blade. You can grab the blade. I promise you can. Don't try this at home. Right, do not go home and be like, we went to the Fallujah Festival. It was a wonderful day. We saw many plays. Also, I would like a kitchen knife. A strange man told me something. He promised it would work. Don't try this one at home, please. I will tell you how you can try this at home, but don't try this one at home. But you can grab an edge. This is a possible thing to do. What you can't do with an edge is that. See, the thought experiment worked. Right? This doesn't bother us. Intellectually, we sort of go, oh, I don't think that would work. You're grabbing a shark thing. It's ridiculous. It's like tickling a shark. You can grab a sharp thing. It may be a little uncomfortable, but it isn't really going to cut you. This makes us uncomfortable. Because we do understand physics. We really do, in our hearts. We may not be able to do the equation, but we understand that it's friction that cuts. You want to be really uncomfortable, do it just a thumb. The blade is sliding down the edge. And audiences go, oh. And actors do the same thing. They go, oh, no, you can't. No, can't do this. Sword coming at your head, you wouldn't want to risk getting a cut.
Yeah, because you wouldn't get a giant one in your head.
See, no, you can't grab it. You need a glove. You got a glove. You can grab that sword. That'd be no problem because cows are impervious to steel. Make a leather glove. You're just fine. I always wondered that. The audiences are the same way. They say, oh, he can grab that. He has a glove. Right? The sword is coming at Hamlet and he grabs it with his leather glove and we go, oh, he's safe. Glove's made of leather, you know. Can't cut through a cow. Well, that works. But you can. You really can grab a blade. If you want to test this thought experiment at home and make it more than a thought experiment, I would suggest making a sandwich. Rather than getting a kitchen knife and being like, I was at the Fallujah Festival. Poor life choice. But you can make a sandwich. Or you could go someplace where they make sandwiches for you. That's fine, if you're of the sort of Downton Abbey attitude towards things. I should have sandwiches made for me here in the Abbey. It's fine. What you'll notice when you go to Quiznos or when you go to Subway is that they do not have small 6-inch lightsabers. Right? They do not make your sandwich and go, they have to cut the bread. Right? Because it requires that friction in order to cut. Blades are the same way. Swords are just very large Cadova cutting sorts of things. But you can grab. You can grab. And this gives you toys. This gives you things that you did not have. It's a big blade. It's lovely. It's amazing at two things. It makes holes in people, and it turns people into multiple people. These are good things. All those wonderful jokes earlier about slash. Ugh. Slash. Enter a new definition. But it's very good at these things. But if somebody's wearing armor, somebody's coming at me wearing 80 pounds of armor, this is made of the same thing. It's made of the same steel. So it's probably not going to actually cut through the armor. What I am looking for is a joint. Right? This is where the steel comes together. This is where the steel comes together. That's great. Tough to manipulate the end of 4 feet of steel, but if I can grab it, now I have options. Because now they can come in my head, I can block it, I can put a glove on, and block it, I can get rid of their sword, and now I have options. Because I can control 18 inches of steel a lot better than I can control 4 feet. But if that doesn't work, I've got this other toy at the other end. This thing's called a pommel. Those of you taking French, it's from the French for little apple. It's a pommel.
Yes.
It's also where we get the expression to pummel someone to death.
Yes. God. Awesome.
No one's excited about the French. Hey!
Where do you think the guillotine came from?
It's too good. We're so enthusiastic about foreign languages here. But this is where we get that expression, because this is a pretty good tool. Someone is coming at me in 80 pounds of armor, no problem. Get up out of 80 pounds of armor now, big guy. I've also got these things, queons or cross guards. They're really just big hooks attached to a blade. Yes, they protect my hand from sliding onto the steel. Yes, they protect the blade from coming down and hitting my knuckles, but they're also really good at punching holes in people. So if somebody's coming at me in 80 pounds of armor, the steel's not going to cut through them, but this giant half-inch thick nail is going to do a wonderful thing on their collarbone. And now they're attached to a hook. And I can pull them down, and if I'm a knight, I just keep walking. I flick my hair. And behind me are 10 peasants who I've conscripted to come into war with me, and I've given them sticks. Because this is the symbol of a knight. I'm not going to give them swords. I give them pointed sticks, and they follow behind me and go. And every night I bring down, and then they try to catch up with me, or otherwise they'll be killed. This is the sword we see in the opening of Romeo and Juliet. Right, so Lord Capulet says, bring me my long sword. This is what he's talking about. And by Shakespeare's day, it was going out of fashion. It was no longer really the strongest weapon on the battlefield. Gunpowder had been around for 150 years. Somebody getting that close, wearing that much armor, was really not what warfare was about anymore. So when the Lord calls for this, Shakespeare's audience would have heard that and heard it as a joke. That he would be calling for a weapon that was sort of an antique at this point. It's like a rotary dial phone today. Google this. It's an antique object. And Shakespeare's audience would have read that. We today, we often do Shakespeare in sort of weird time periods, right? We do adaptations of it, we set them in odd places, and we lose something. Over 400 years, across the distance of time, Shakespeare's trying to talk to us. And when he talks about a longsword in Romeo and Juliet, he's making a specific point with it. Because the first people who come on stage in that show, Samson, Gregory, and Abraham, have something else entirely. They're coming out with swords and bucklers. So this is a buckler. It's an English design of shield. It's small, and it doesn't need to be particularly large, because it would have been held out away from the body. And it takes very little movement to actually protect everything that bleeds. We often see it on sort of action figures and things like that held here. This is a poor choice. This takes a lot of work. This takes a lot of work. This is going to get cut off very quickly. But here I can hide my blade, I can keep this out, and I would have had a small, cheap sword. And this is something I think we also miss in modern productions, that the servants are going around armed. And that says two things to us. First, they're scared. They don't think they can go to the market without getting attacked. This is something that's worth remembering in this play. And second, they're going to the market armed. They're looking for a bit of a fight. But they don't know what they're doing. This is something that modern readers, modern English classes, modern productions often miss. We're doing this play here at the Folger next season and invite you to come see it because I have to figure out how to stage the fights for it. But you should see it for other reasons. But the fights are very pretty. But they don't know what they're doing. They've got cheap steel, and there's that line, Gregory, remember thy washing blow.
Swashing.
In some editions.
Oh. Tricky.
It is the same
my
word.
line.
It is edited differently in different editions. And what it is...
Swashing.
What is it?
Swinging.
Oh, we know how it's spelled. And that's the extent of our knowledge. The swashing blow, or the washing blow, depending on the edition, it's the same thing. It is an instinctive human reaction to threat. Something is coming at you, a hand goes up. A mosquito is buzzing around you, you swat away at it. Go away, nasty bug. An albatross is coming at you, you punch it in the face. These are normal human things that you would do. You put a sword in your hand, somebody's coming at you, you don't really want to fight them, but you might swing that steel out at them instinctively. Most fights actually start with the same right cross. It's an instinctive human action. So you take that swashing blow, and it lands on this, and you have swashbuckling. And that's the origin of that word. It's not 17th century musketeers who look all fancy in their very tight pants, walking around knowing what they're doing with swords, first of all, because they're musketeers and they should be carrying muskets. Every version of that is disappointing.